YouTube? This is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your Week 12 start and sit video for the tight end position. Now, we are talking Turkey Week, so with that said, there are 3 games on Thanksgiving, 1 game on Black Friday for the first time, and then, of course, a slate of games for Sunday and Monday night. So make sure you guys have your lineups ready. Enjoy that turkey, ham, and whatever else you're going to have while you're with friends and family. And make sure you guys check out other start and sit videos. Now, these are obvious starts at tight end. I've got a lot more than I normally have in the past because realistically, these tight ends I have in here have great matchups. They should be in your lineup. Even if they might put a dud, I still think these guys have huge upside that can put up some good points for you. Now, first tight end I'm going to start this week is going to be Jake Ferguson versus the Commanders. One of the Thursday games for Thanksgiving. Commanders have not played very well. Now, they're okay. They're solid, but when they're playing against good tight ends, and there's, again, there's so few, but when they play against good tight ends, they're allowing 14.7 points a game and a touchdown per game as well in those matchups. Jake Ferguson has been a really good red zone threat and one of Dak's favorites when he is down in that, red zone area. Now, Ferguson can have some bust games. He's not as consistent as like for where Dalton Schultz was last season, but I think it's only going to get better. He's definitely a tight end that has a lot more upside, especially in an offense that is as explosive as the Dallas Cowboys. I do expect him to get some targets his way. I think Ferguson can get a touchdown in this game, getting you about that 13 to 15 point range. So I like him a lot in this matchup. Another tight end I like is going to be Jonnu Smith versus the Saints. Now, Saints actually are pretty good defensively, except against the tight end. They're allowing 11.97 points a game, and in the last 3 games alone have allowed 4 touchdowns to the tight end. Now, Jonnu Smith obviously still shares a lot of the shine with Kyle Pitts, and I didn't put Kyle Pitts in there because, unfortunately, Desmond Ridder is back at the starting quarterback spot. Had this been Heinicke, I might have changed my mind and probably put, Smith probably in the back burner and put Pitts in there. But realistically, Jonnu Smith has played very well when Ridder was at quarterback. And now that Ridder is back in the lineup, who knows what Arthur Smith is going to do? No one can predict what this madman is doing in the offense. With that said, I do have a little bit more faith in Jonnu. I think he's got a good matchup in this one. And this is an opportunity where I think he can get to that 12 to 14 point range for this game. Another tight end I like is Evan Ingram versus the Texans. Last outing, Ingram put up 13 points against them. Not a lot, but Texans are allowing 7 receptions per game. Ingram is at least receiving 7 targets a game. And again, he's one of those guys that is probably behind Kirk. I think Kirk gets the most targets. Then you're going to get Ingram. And then as of late, Ridley's starting to show up, which has been fantastic for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Lawrence obviously still has some issues where the offensive line needs to give him some time, but I like this matchup. They did very well against the Houston Texans the first time around. Now, CJ Stroud has gotten better with the season going on. I still think Texans lose this one just because I get it. Like, the Texans are a better and improving team. I think Jacksonville is a better overall team, and I think they squeak out another victory this week. I like Evan Ingram a lot. Now, as far as tight ends, I'm going to sit. I've got Cole Kmet versus the Vikings. Now, Vikings, they do allow a decent amount of points to the tight end position, but the reason why I have Cole Kmet as a sit is because I do concern with his inconsistency. One thing that I have with Cole Kmet is he's either getting you 3 touchdowns in a game or he's absolutely giving you 1 reception. And that is the problem that you have with Cole Kmet. Now, with Fields in the lineup, again, does help Cole Kmet's value and stock. But last outing Cole Kmet played was week 6. Fields did play that game. Obviously, he did get hurt, but he did play that game. And Kmet just laid an egg. He had I think it was like 2.7 points. Like, not very good. This is going to be a game where the Vikings, I think, still do a pretty good job. The last 2 games alone, they're only allowing 5 points to the tight end per game. Matchup is a little bit tougher. I don't trust Cole Kmet enough to put him in my lineup. Another tight end I don't trust is going to be Logan Thomas versus the Cowboys. Now, Dallas is actually a really good team overall. They're holding tight ends to only 44 yards and 9.97 points a game, just under that 10-point mark, which obviously, again, like I mentioned in all my videos, if you can get at least 10 points, that's not a bad game from your tight end. That's the minimum that you need out of your tight end to have a decent week and some success in winning for your fantasy. But I actually think it's going to be a little bit tougher. One thing that Dallas does is their linebackers are very fast. Some of it is that, like Bell, for example, went from safety to linebacker. They used Donovan Wilson, who was a safety who plays linebacker. There are a lot of things that they do where they are able to use their speed against a tight end or against obviously slot receivers, which is what makes them very successful this season. So this is a matchup that I think Logan Thomas gets carried and pretty much covered throughout the matchup. Now, one caveat with this is that the fact that the Cowboys, there's a chance, could be up big. Now, a lot of people are expecting that. As a Cowboy fan, I've seen too many Thanksgiving games that I trust that. I think Cowboys always seem to have these games really close. With that said, though, if Cowboys are up big, I do expect Logan Thomas to receive some targets his way because they're trying to play catch up. I still think I'm going to sit him this week. Now, the last tight end I'm sitting this week is going to be Cade Otton versus the Colts. Look, Otton has done pretty well this season. Not as good as where I would hope. He's one of my favorite tight ends going into the season, but he hasn't really put up the numbers I had expected. But against a Colts team, they're pretty good, like defensively. Now, obviously, you just heard about Shaq Leonard, being waived, but a lot of that was he was losing snaps to Zaire Franklin anyways, who actually has turned into a tackling machine. Otton has seen 6 targets a game. I think it was like the last 5 games. So he's seen targets, but here's the concern that I have with that. He's only hit 10 points or more in 3 of the 10 games he's played. That's just not good enough for me. The inconsistency is there. Baker, I think, is going to target Rachaad White more. I think Evans, obviously, and then Godwin. Even Palmer, I expect to see more targets than K-Dot in this matchup. I just don't trust him this week. Now, my sleeper of the week is Isaiah Likely versus the Chargers. Now, Likely, obviously, is taking the tight end 1 role after Mark Andrews went down with his injury. Everyone, of course, have scrambled to get Likely on their roster, I'm sure. He's probably one of the number 1 waivers this week besides Charbonnet. But they've got a great matchup against the Chargers. Chargers are allowing 11.8 points a game and likely should see something similar where he's getting probably 6 targets or so in this matchup. Lamar Jackson loves the tight end position. And again, I think Likely does fit into this role really well. I do see an increase in obviously Odell Beckham and Zay Flowers because I think they're going to obviously spread the ball a little bit more since Andrews is out because, again, the big body down the field Likely can play well. He's not Mark Andrews. But I do like him as this sleeper this week. So again, put him in your lineup, feel a little bit more confident that way. So those are my start, sits, and sleepers for the tight end for week 12. If you guys do have questions for your lineups, hit up in the comments down below. Enjoy yourselves on Thanksgiving. Enjoy those 3 games that are going on. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you guys always have the notification bells on. Don't forget to the like button. I'll check you guys out next time.